Hi Line Sniper community, this is Daniel Chang here, founder and CEO of Line Sniper, and today I'm going to walk you through 3 reasons why my team of sharp bettors have placed over $100,000 fading the Lakers going into this NBA playoffs. So stay tuned here and I'll give you 3 specific reasons why you should fade the Lakers going into this NBA playoff, and I'll also give you 1 secret bet that we're making going into this MLB season where you can apply the 3 points I talked about with regards to the Lakers to your own NBA and MLB futures betting. So let's jump right into it. The first reason why we're fading the Lakers has to do with something that everyone is aware of, which is high degree of injury risk. Now, how does this relate specifically to sports betting though? You often hear guys on ESPN or First Take like Stephen A or Nick Wright saying, listen, these guys are high injury risk, they have no chance to win the NBA playoffs, or this guy is not going to get injured and they're going to definitely win. They talk in absolutes. As sports bettors, we think largely in probabilities. No team is 100% to win or 100% to lose until they're knocked out of the playoffs. So how do we go about thinking, what is the percent chance of injury risk and how does that ultimately affect the bets we're going to place? Now, the first thing we have to understand is, what are the Lakers to win the championship? We're just going to take one sportsbook, for example, just to give you a quick understanding of kind of what the odds currently are. And as you can see, the Brooklyn Nets are the largest favorites at 2-1, and the Los Angeles Lakers are the second largest favorites at 4-1. Now, 4-1 equates close to a 20% chance to win the championship. And that's going to mean that as a sports bettor, you have to have a higher than 20% probability in order to bet the Lakers to win the championship. So if you think the Lakers are 25 or 30% to win the championship, then this would be a great bet. If you think the Lakers are something like 10 or 15% to win the championship, you absolutely wouldn't bet this bet. So how does injury risk affect how we think about the betting scenarios for the Lakers going into the playoffs? Well, let's take a quick look at LeBron's injury as well as Anthony Davis's injury just to see what you think the severity of those injuries are and if you think they can come back really close or back to normal going into the playoffs.
In the painted area.
Played just amazing basketball in the bubble during the playoffs. One of the key components to the Lakers winning a title. LeBron, down he goes and he grabs his ankle. LeBron with his right ankle and he's hurting.
Looks like he got it rolled up on or something because there was like a double team there, and when he went down to the floor to try to get the semi-loose ball, that's when he got the ankle injury, and you can see how he's writhing in discomfort here. So
Drummond, and again he tries to get by that defense down low. Caruso, who got his first start of the season Sunday, 3rd start tonight of the year, 3 off, and it's picked up by George. And down
Anthony Davis
for Marcus
is down.
Morris, who takes it in.
Anthony Davis went down after that jump shot. You're hoping he didn't tweak or turn an ankle.
As you can see from both injuries, they were fairly significant and they required a significant amount of time off for both LeBron and Anthony Davis. Now, I'm no doctor, but you've seen multiple times in histories guys like Kevin Durant, etc. go down during the playoffs, which have allowed a lesser quality team like the Raptors in that year to beat a higher quality team. Now, we're not saying that's going to be 100% the case with LeBron and Anthony Davis, but our analysis is that if Anthony Davis or LeBron got injured, that's going to make a 5, 6, 7 point difference to the point spread for each of those specific games. Now, sportsbooks historically for big favorites do not equate any percent chance that either of the star players are going to get injured. So when you think about the Lakers having a 20% chance to win, that's assuming both players are perfectly healthy for the entire NBA playoffs. Now, that seems maybe likely or maybe not likely, but we think that if the sportsbooks aren't capturing that sort of information, that's going to be something that we as sports bettors have to capitalize. So, because of the high injury risk to LeBron or Anthony Davis, we think that the 4-1 is a little bit of a stretch for us to bet. The same thing could be said for the Brooklyn Nets. That's just a theme that you should think about while sports betting. Sportsbooks can't factor in injury risk, and as a result, as a sports bettor, you should be super cognizant of how that could factor in to your sports betting results. Now, let's look at the second reason why we're going to fade the Lakers going into this NBA playoffs. Well, it comes down to one major reason. The price is not right. People oftentimes think in absolutes. The Lakers are for sure going to win the championship or not going to win. But as we've told you before, the Lakers are something like 20% implied by the sportsbooks to win the championship. That's what 4-1 implies. If you look at another price like 2-1, it'd be something like 33%. So let's figure out if the Lakers have more or less than a 20% chance to win the championship in a mathematical and systematic way that you too can do with other teams when you follow at home. So what is the NBA playoff picture for the NBA season? As you can see right now, the Lakers are in the 7 hole. And this specific year, there's this playoff picture similar to last year where they have to play into the NBA playoffs. Now, what is the likely scenario that the Lakers don't make the playoffs at all, which means they fall in the 7th seed and lose to the Golden State Warriors and lose to either Memphis or San Antonio Spurs? I would say probably that's extremely unlikely. And if you look at the spread of the Lakers versus the Golden State Warriors, it's going to be pretty massive if you think about it. It could be something like 7-1. Now, what does that mean for their chances to make the playoffs? It's going to be extremely high. I did the math previously for this video, so I didn't have to bore you. And it boils down to something like they're a 97% chance to make the playoffs. So we've highlighted that in the first row here. Now, the second thing we have to think about is, let's say they make the playoffs with that 97% chance, which is highly likely. What is their odds in the first round of the playoffs of beating the Phoenix Suns? Now, let's think about this critically for a second. And the best way to do this is by looking at a few of the previous games they've played head-to-head and seeing what the lines were for those games so that you can factor that into your own estimates when thinking about percentage chances. They've played 3 times this season, and without even thinking about the results, you can see that the first game that they played most recently, the Lakers were fairly sizable underdogs, 2.5-1, let's call it. Now, in the second game that they played, or the second last game they played, the Lakers were massive underdogs, 10-point underdogs. This was because both LeBron and Anthony Davis, and I believe Kyle Kuzma, were injured for this game, and that really shows and illustrates point 1 that we're making. If the players are injured and they're not playing, Phoenix is going to be a massive favorite over the Lakers. So if that's not factored into your handicapping analysis, you're definitely leaving something out. Now, the first game that they played in the season, where Lakers at home versus Phoenix, is probably going to be the closest to what we think fair odds are. But even in this game, there was an injury to a star player, so it's not quite exactly accurate. Now, let's think critically about what the point spread and money line could be for a game Lakers at home versus Phoenix if the Lakers are fully healthy with LeBron, Anthony Davis, and Dennis Schroeder. I think practically speaking, and you can make small adjustments to this, that they're going to be something like 150 minus 150. Now, that means if the Phoenix Suns are at home versus the Lakers, they'll probably be something like even money. I think this is something of a conservative estimate. So Phoenix at home, they're going to be about even money. LeBron and the Lakers on the road, they're going to be minus 150. Now, this is a series price calculator, this Excel sheet that I'm pulling up, and is something that we've proprietarily developed at Line Sniper. If you leave a comment below with your email, I'll send a copy of this directly to you, but only if you share this video on some of your socials with your friends. If you could like and subscribe, that would really help out the channel and keep us creating content like this and tools like this that can help you guys as sports bettors. So with that being said, we put it into the series price calculator, and if you put in the price for each of the games, it'll spit out what the percent chance of the teams winning the series are. And it's going to be something like minus 146, or approximately, let's round up, 60% chance to win the round. So we put that into our analysis, 60% chance to win round 1, 60% chance to win round 2, because we think the second team coming out will be probably somewhat similar to the Phoenix Suns. Once again, when we run this through our computer model, it's much, much more accurate, but this will give you kind of a wide variety of thought of how to think about it. Round 3, let's just take a look at the teams again, for example. They're going to be playing, let's call it the Utah Jazz or the Mavericks or Denver. etc. We think that they'll probably be actually slightly larger favorites in that round versus the first 2 rounds. So let's say 65% chance. And when they go into the championship, they might be a small favorite against teams like Milwaukee or Miami, even definitely New York, they'll be big favorites against, but they'll probably be a small underdog versus a team like Brooklyn or potentially Philadelphia, etc. So we put that chance at 55% chance because there's no guarantee that Brooklyn will get out of the Eastern Conference either. So what does that boil down to? That ultimately boils down to the Lakers having something like a 12.5% chance of winning the championship, far below the 20% chance implied in the DraftKings Sportsbook. So definitely don't play that 4-to-1 price. The third thing that we're going to talk about is just how these futures markets are constructed and why, as a bettor, even if you want to bet on the Lakers and you don't think our analysis is true, you should simply bet them game to game or series to series and not in the futures market. If you added up all of the prices and converted them into percentages and simply thought about what the total percent chance of each of the teams winning is, it's going to be something like 125 to 130% for this specific sportsbook and these specific lines. So what does that actually mean? It means you're paying a 25% premium simply to place your bet without knowing anything about whether any of the odds are accurate or not. That's a definitely high price to place a bet. Now, imagine placing a 25% premium when you're buying a car or buying anything else for your average bet size. That's going to be extremely taxing over the long run and definitely lead you to losing money. So our third tip is, even if you like the Lakers, bet against them game by game. Or if you don't like the Lakers, try to find a market like Circuit that offers you the no on the Lakers to win the championship. Finally, the last thing that we're going to talk about is a futures bet that we promised that if you listen to the end of this video that we'd be giving you. So let's just take a look at the MLB market. And we're doing this real time with you. I haven't looked at anything with regards to these prices, and we're going to find something that could be a good analysis for you. Here is something that I find pretty interesting. Now, I think the Houston Astros at plus 105 is a decent bet. And I think that the Astros at plus 105 is a decent bet. They're by far the best team in the league. If you see that their run differential versus any of the other teams in the division, it's significantly higher. And also, if you just look at the game-by-game prices against any of the other teams in the division, it's fairly better. Now, the Houston Astros, on the flip side of Lakers, have few players coming back from injury that's going to be really beneficial for the season run. These include Framber Valdez, which was their ace from last year, and Jake Odorizzi, who's a fairly solid pitcher. Now, if you can bet the Houston Astros plus 105, you're definitely going to be making money over the long run. So that's our secret bet of the day, something that you can tail moving into the future. If you want to wait a few games, if you don't, that's going to be highly profitable. Once again, you're going to be able to find a better price than 105 at other sports books, so make sure to line shop as we've recommended in other videos. Thanks a lot for listening, guys. We really appreciate the time. Hopefully that gave you 3 reasons to fade the Lakers for this year. And if you enjoyed them, please like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out. Thanks a lot.